Hi everyone, and thanks for checking out this edition of Outside the Deckbox featuring our modern merfolk list. Uh, a little about it. Last weekend, while the Pro Tour was going on, I was rebuilding my Magic the Gathering Online account. I had traded my paper collection to Heath and the rest of the crew at CapeFearGames.com and took their rather generous offer with the additional 20% store credit and decided that paper Magic just wasn't for me right now. I don't really have a place to play in my area of Kentucky. The closest place for me to go is a 30-minute drive. I'm just not willing to make that right now. I like staying home and hanging out and watching TV and playing Magic. So, anyways, I was looking through modern results, and this deck kind of just jumped out and grabbed me, mainly because I love merfolk. So what we have here is a 28 creature list. We've got Curse Catcher, Coral Helm Commander, Master of the Pearl Trident, Phantasmal Image, Lord of Atlantis, Silvergill Adept, Kira, Great Glass Spinner, and Mira Regery. We have 16 lords in this deck, between the Regeries, the lords, the masters, and the commanders. That could possibly be bumped up to 18 with the Phantasmal Images, and it basically is 18 because of the Phantasmal Images, because you're never going to image Akira because she's legendary. We've got Curse Catcher, which counters an instant or sorcery spell unless the controller pays one more. Pretty good to have. It's nice to have a one-drop merfolk that isn't Merfolk of the Pearl Trident. And this guy can mess up the math in regards to stuff like Ponder or Court of Calling or Cryptic Commands, just stuff like that. It's just a nice little way to deal with stuff that doesn't mean you have to overload on counter spells in the main deck. We've got the Commander, which for four colorless mana becomes a 4/4 flying lord. The Master, which reads a lot like Lord of Atlantis, is just an updated Lord of Atlantis. Mainly because it has the merfolk type, and I'm looking at the differences now, and there was a difference between Lord of Atlantis. I think it was Creature Lord, and he's probably been eroded since then. Phantasmal Image is great for copying extra lords to deal extra damage or to deal with opposing legends. It's nice to have a 2-mana answer to Geist of Saint Draft. But then again, if you have a 2-mana answer to Geist of Saint Draft, you probably have an opponent that's playing islands, and you get to island walk all over the face. Kira is great against the decks that have targeted removal, obviously. Silvergill Adept, just a very solid 2-drop that will allow you to draw a card for 2 mana. Just replaces itself. And the Regery, which is the 3 casting cost lord, which allows you to tap or untap a permanent whenever you cast another merfolk. So those are the creatures of the deck. It's a fairly aggressive deck. I mean, something with 18 lords in it is bound to be very aggressive. But let's take a look at the spells of the deck. The modern format has a lot of diverse mana bases. And thanks to Spreading Seas, we can turn on our lords and give our creatures island walk, or we can try to mana screw our opponents. Decks like Tron rely on getting the complete Urza's land set into play, and if you break up a tower and make it an island, then suddenly they have to play fair magic instead of tapping 3 to get 7. Aethervial allows us to play like a more traditional control deck, even though we're not really controlled. What Vial does is let us cheat on creatures. We're land light with only 22 in the deck, and with technically we're going to go with 18 since the Tectonic Edges want to be blowing up non-basics. But Aether Vial allows us to resolve a threat during their end step, play a dude on our turn, resolve another threat. It lets us play around Wrath, kinda. I mean, obviously the guys are still going to be there on their next turn, but it gives us a little bit of insurance, and it gives us a way to kind of make the control matchup a little more favorable, because if they can't counter your Merfolk, then they're going to have to wait to blow it up or something. Spell Pierce are the last two cards in the deck. They're just a catch-all target non-creature spell, counter spell that's good to have in the formats. Our lands are 12 dual lands. We've got a Marsh Flats to go pick up Hollowed Fountains in case we absolutely need white. We've got an island and Mutavault, which acts as another Merfolk and gets the bonuses from the lords in the deck. Tectonic Edge works along with Spreading Seas in order to really mess up an opponent's mana base. And that is it for the main deck. Let's take a real quick look at the sideboard. We've got Unified Will, which comes in against Control. We've got Threads of Disloyalty, which comes in against, I imagine, decks that have Dark Confidant or Tarmogoyf. Stony Silence obviously comes in against the Mono Bluetron, since it relies a lot on Mindslaver and Oblivion Stone, and against robots. We've got a third Spell Pierce. We've got Rest in Peace and Grafdigger's Cage to help fight against Birthing Pod, and we've got Path to Exile to help fight against the aggro matchups. The deck is a lot of fun. It is something that's not seen a lot in the current modern metagame, but with the right matchups, this deck can really prey upon the format, because you're attacking for a lot of damage quickly. You've got a lot of redundancy in the deck. There's a lot of cheap threats, and if you're attacking for 5 or 6 on turn 3, then you're doing pretty well for yourself. So join me as we go over a couple of matches with our modern Merfolk deck here on Outside the Deckbox. I hope you enjoy them. I hope you enjoy the deck tech. And again, I want to thank you all for viewing the video.